Hello guys, welcome to this video. If you're new here, my name is Usman Dengita and I'm a crypto trader based in Nigeria. Alright guys, so I have been having like a request from you guys that you want me to do a video on my strategy. You want me to show you what my strategy entails, right? So I'll be doing this video and I'll be showing everything that has to do with my strategy. So stay attentive. Okay, just like stay tuned to see how I'll explain everything from scratch to finish. Okay, to start with, like I always said, right, my strategy has to do with three things, right? First of all, like I used to check for a trend, right? Let me write it so that you guys can see it, so that it's very important. So number one point trend. And the reason why I mostly start with trend is because trend is what will show us where we are heading, whether we are heading bullish or we are heading bearish, right? So coming to trend, right, if you go to the weekly time frame, you see something, right? The trend of the weekly time frame is heading bearish, as you can all see, because we just had this lower high and this lower low, so we are having the retracement before we actually push to the downside, right? So, and if you go back to the daily time frame, you experience something which is also like this. We are bearish too, because this was our last higher high. So, and we had a higher low, higher high. So this was our last higher high, right? The one here, let me just cycle it so that you guys can see what is going on here. Let me just cycle it. So this was where I'm focused. This is where I'm focusing on. All right, so like I explained, like this is our last higher high, so we broke under this, meaning so we are bearish now, right? So on the daily too, we are bearish. So if we go back to our 4-hour time frame, you also see the same thing, that we are bearish, because we had this shift of structure from here. It was bearish, it was bullish, sorry. And then we had this shift of structure to the downside, and we retraced on this our area of interest. And since we retraced, then if you go to the daily time frame, you will see that okay, was a perfect retracement, right? And we had the entry signal before pushing to the downside, which we are coming to that. So but for now, let's focus on the trend, right? Like I always say, the trend is your friend. You can't do without the trend, because where the trend is heading, that's where you are to head. You get, in trading, you can't go against the trend. It's just like you are going against when the knife is falling, right? So you should push the knife. Don't try to hold the knife, because at the end of the day it will slice your hand. Like just like again, when going to bullish, like a rock is heading to the upside, right? So you shouldn't try to catch that rock, because it will just kick you off and go away. So that's how it's very straightforward. So the first thing is the trend, like I said, right? So the second thing to focus on is what we call the area of interest. Very important, because this is where you can actually place a trade. You can take a trade from there, which is area of interest, right? Most people call it support and resistance. Some call it like other blocks. Some call it like you get supply and demand. So it just depends. But me, I call it area of interest. This is where I'm interested in taking my trade. Yeah. So from here, my area of interest, this is where you see like I spotted it with this. This is my area of interest. This box here. You can see I wrote 4H area of interest. Then DA area of interest. So the meaning behind this is 4-hour area of interest and daily area of interest. But mostly I go with daily area of interest, because this is where it's mostly respected, because a candlestick takes a day to form, and if you spot an area of interest on a daily time frame, it's more respected, right? So as you can see at this point, this push we had was on 4-hour area of interest. Let me show you something so that you get to see what I'm showing you here. As you can see, this is it. So this is it. This is the shift, right? After this shift, then we had retracement. Then if you see that this is the entry signal here, which is a bearish engulfing. So it was a perfect trade, right? And you can see it selling downward. So in between this area of interest, this is an area of interest, this is an area of interest, and where we are here, where this price kind of reacted, it's what we call the resistance. While here that you see, this is the support, right? So resistance is where price will hit and it will start falling down, while support is where price will hit and it will start going up. So at this point, price is heading towards the support level, which is this level here, which is the floor, right? And the resistance is the roof, right? And at this point, you realize something. We are in between this resistance and what support, and this is what we call the no man's land, right? You can never, on no account you should ever take a trade here, because you just fall victim, right? At the end of the day, you just be the what scapegoat. So you should never try and take a trade here. Always wait on the price is at your support level or your resistance level. All right, so from here, the next thing in my strategy is what I call the entry signal, which is very important. And for the trend, I mostly go with the higher time frames, which are the weekly. Let me show you something. So weekly, daily, and 4 hour. So these are what I mostly focus on when I'm kind of like spotting my trend, right? I mostly focus on the higher time frames, which is these 3 time frames, right? Then when it comes to my entry signal, that's where I go to my lower time frames, right, to check my entry signal. Like I said, for the area of interest, I mostly look for my area of interest on the daily. I used to use weekly at some point, but I mostly stick with daily, and 4 hour area of interest. This is where I look for my area of interest. Then for the entry signal, which is very important, this is the third part of my strategy. Okay, for the entry signal, I mostly look for my entry signal on the 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 15 minute time frame. I mostly stick with 1 hour. This is my favorite like time frame for looking for my entry signal. Like if I will show you now on this 1 hour time frame, you can see what I'm looking for here. And for my entry signal, right, I mostly check 2 things, right, which is a what rejection candlestick and a what bearish or bullish engulfing candlestick. So let me show you something. So at this point, when we had this shift of structure on here, so we had the retracement. Yes, because we had like we call it a discount. A retracement is like a discount. So you can't just say you want to buy from here since high price is bullish. Since price is bearish. So you can't just buy here. You have to wait for what we call the retracement. Because if you say you buy here, at the end of the day, while we are having this retracement, then the market will take you out. So the best thing is just for you to wait for this retracement, then wait for what I call the rejection. You can see this is the what doji candlestick here, which is in between here. Then we had the what bearish engulfing. So the bearish engulfing will help you to kind of like see that price is actually like the bears are the one in charge. So from there you can decide to take your trade. I didn't mean we took this trade because I took a loss on this trade. So you can see this is where I placed my P&L initially. Then I took a loss. So let me show you something. So if you check closely and you see something, I didn't mean we took this trade from here, right? Maybe I place my my stop loss here, and maybe I place my P&L, like my take profits, maybe I place it here. Maybe we'll be catching like 1 to 4 risk to reward on this trade. So at this point, I'll be at a 1 to let's just say 1 to 2 risk to reward at this point. So you see, like I'll be in a massive profit. Let's assume my risk like $100, so I'll be reaping a reward of like, let's say $200. So that's how it is. So from here, then you see what I look for. Like I explained that I mostly look for what indecision candlestick, which is this doji candlestick, and this bearish or bullish engulfing candlestick. So this is a bearish engulfing candlestick. So if I see it, then I will place my P&L, then I will take my trade, then I will let it ride. And one thing I don't do is that I never interfere with my take profit or my stop loss, right? What I mostly do is that I wait for the trade to hit my take profit or my stop loss to go out of the trade. All right, hope you've understood what I explained in this trade, and hope you found this helpful. If you do, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and also make sure you share it with anybody that you feel like this video might help. All right, see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.